So Overlord, executive produced by J.J. Abrams. It's a bad robot production who apparently came up with the original story. Julius Avery is insanely over-the-top hybrid war movie, horror movie, mashup. Run up to D-Day. American soldiers parachuting into occupied France. Their mission is to take down a church tower in which the Nazis have erected a radio broadcast thing. And this is broadcasting signals that needs to be taken out so that the air support can come in and everything will be fine. Of course, what happens at the very, very beginning is that there is a very spectacular opening. Do you remember Pearl Harbor, the Michael Bay film?
Oh, yes. You said something, yes, and I do remember it.
Did you see it?
Yes, on DVD, I think.
There's a scene in Pearl Harbor which was in the trailer and actually was the thing that made Pearl Harbor look like it was going to be really good, which was this kind of bomb drop thing in which the camera is on top of this thing and then it drops through and it falls it was quite, back then it was quite a spectacular shot. There is an opening at the beginning of Overlord which reminded me of that, but not in a bad way. It reminded me of that in a kind of, oh wow, they're doing all this and putting all this stuff together, and then the plane's up there and then the thing happens and they got to fall out, they got a parachute and the camera's okay, fine, that's pretty breathless opening. Then manages to ship up just about in one piece, and some of the colleagues have made it and some of them haven't, and they sort of form together a little ragtag band, and then what they have to do is they have to get to the church tower to do the job they're meant to do. En route, they find something which looks a bit weird. Is it human? Is it an animal? What killed it? How did it get there? And first warning signs that, you've just stepped from one movie into another. And so underneath what's going on anyway, something really weird and bizarre is happening in the context of the war. Here we go.
What happened there?
I found him inside the church.
The crowd grabbed me as soon as I hit the ground.
Inside the church? How did you get inside the church?
Dead bodies.
Slow down. Slow
listen to me.
down.
They're doing experiments on them in there. They're doing experiments on the villagers.
What?
Just like her aunt. They're burning people with these flamethrowers, and they're still moving the bodies. Cocoon things in there.
Did you get eyes on the tower compound?
She doesn't have a body, and she's still talking. And I saw Roosevelt.
Voice! Did you get eyes on the tower compound?
The tower base is below the ground. But there's more than that down there. Okay. Look.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
What is it? It's a bad thing. So Jovan Adepo as Boyce. We also get Peter Asbeck as playing, not so much chewing the scenery as masticating the scenery and spitting it back out again. So essentially, from the very beginning, everything is turned up to 11. So it starts with this really kind of high-powered sequence, which is quite brilliant, and then it sort of proceeds in very loud, bangy, crashy fashion. But when I watched it, I didn't really know where the story was going at the beginning. All I knew was the title, and I knew that I'd read a couple of people had sort of been quite excited by it, but I didn't know where it was going until you get to the moment when it steps over the line. It goes from one genre into another. Obviously, once people are going to go and see the film, they will understand that it is a genre-crossing movie. It has explosive action and the kind of scrungy, no-holds-barred, gory effects that enthusiasts of the old video nasties period back from the 1980s will go, oh yes, I remember those good old days. Those were the days when it was possible to go down to your local newsagent and get something utterly scrungy. It's an odd movie. It does work on many levels. I think the performances are largely the thing that they bring a sort of warmth and wit to the proceedings, even when the film itself is not so much tiptoeing around the ridiculous as ploughing right through the middle of it. Peter Asbeck is really sort of full on, absolutely turned up to 11-ty stupid. And Mathilde Olivier is very good as the resistance fighter. I went to see it again with Simran Hans, my colleague from The Observer. And what was really good was I was sitting just like 2 seats away from her. And when the stuff started to happen, when the film started to turn monstrous, when it was all, I looked over at one point and she was hiding behind her hands. I thought, this is good. This is what a horror movie is doing. Because Simran's not a huge horror movie sort of bore in the way that I am. So it was working there. It was doing the thing that it was meant to be doing with all this. I found myself never getting completely sucked into it, but it has this kind of unrelenting quality that gives it a certain punch, and it's executed with a sort of tongue-in-cheek bravado, tongue-in-cheek and often through cheek.
Nice.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's kind of fun, but what makes it work is that in the middle of all this unfolding madness and mayhem and this sort of reanimator stuff that's going on around everyone, everyone thinking Stuart Gordon and everything, is that you have performances that are reminding you that you have to be invested in the characters, otherwise none of this would matter at all.